So hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to Creatrix. Welcome to Unacademy. So in these sessions, we are going to start the communication system and you are going to study the communication system like never before. So before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Vishal Soni and I have cleared ESC examination 2 times, both times in double digit rank. And I have also served as a Group A Gazetted Officer in Indian Railways and in Indian Telecommunication Services. And I have also cleared a lot of public sector examinations. So right now I'm teaching on Unacademy and I really feel proud to be the part of the Unacademy team, because Unacademy is the revolution in the field of free education and in the field of affordable education, and we as a team are really looking forward for every student to just come onto the Unacademy platform. You can attend the special classes, you can come onto this YouTube channel and you can stay connected with us so that you can understand the quality education and you can understand the efforts that we are putting in, so that every student of this country, whether he stays in a village or he stays in a town, should get the access of the content, that too in a very affordable prices, and he can also or she can also clear the examination with the best possible ranks. So right now I'm teaching on Unacademy with more than 15 million watch minutes in the overall duration and 2 million watch minutes in the last 30 days. So I am right now the top educator in Unacademy across all the branches, having rank 4 right now. And you can also follow me on Unacademy on this particular link. So you can go and follow me on Unacademy. Apart from that, my advice to every student is that how should you crack the examination and what are the components to cracking the examination. So the first question that comes to the mind, that can anyone prepare from the YouTube? Yes, you can prepare from the YouTube, but you should develop or cultivate some habits in yourself. For example, you should be very much disciplined. You should arrange the extra resources. For example, the PDFs you have to arrange, the test series you have to arrange by yourself, and most importantly, that self-discipline you should be containing in yourself, so that you can be very corrective manner and you can approach the examination in the best possible manner. So all these things you have to arrange yourself. The sense of competitiveness you have to cultivate in yourself, because the audience on the YouTube are not that much of competitive in nature, or maybe you cannot feel the competition which is present right now. So all these things are the part of the journey if you want to prepare through the YouTube, or maybe if you want to prepare through the free resources. Apart from that, if you want that you should get complete content, then this is the YouTube channel. On this YouTube channel itself, all the free content are available. You just have to go to the playlist. All the subjects are completed there. You just have to go and watch all the lectures one by one. Definitely will be getting benefited. But the extra things that I have told you, that the self-discipline and the sense of competitiveness and a lot of things you have to arrange by yourself. If you are comfortable in that, then you can do that. Apart from that, you should also have Unacademy learning app, so that the special classes you can attend. A lot of educators in this country are actually providing the special classes, that too absolutely free of cost, so that you can get the quality content in the best possible manner. Apart from that, there is also another component for you, which is Unacademy Plus. So on Unacademy Plus, what is your job? You just have to study. If you join this Unacademy Plus, you do not have to worry about the crash courses, weekly test, doubt solving sessions, the language barrier, rank improvement batches, live classes. So all these things will be taken care by the Unacademy. You just have to take the Unacademy Plus subscription and you have to come on to the Unacademy. You will be daily getting the live classes. You will be getting the crash courses. When you will be getting the crash courses? When the syllabus are completed. You will be getting the weekly test in the form of quizzes. Every fourth class is the doubt solving session, which is the major you can say the component or the major impact will be creating on your studies will be this doubt solving group. Because until and unless your doubts are not being cleared, until and unless you are not able to clear your doubts, you will never get the confidence in the subject. So once you come on to this Unacademy Plus, every fourth class is doubt solving session. Apart from that, various other doubt solving sessions are going on. So ultimately you will be getting your doubts cleared and you will gain confidence in the subject. The language barrier will not be an issue, because the batches will be running both Hindi and in English, and rank improvement batches will also be there. So all these things are the component of this Plus subscription. Once you come on to this Unacademy Plus, you do not have to be worried about your self-discipline, your competitiveness nature. Everything will be present on Unacademy, because a lot of other students will be there. Since the classes will be live, you can also watch it recorded later on. So the discipline automatically comes, because you get the idea that you will be having the daily live classes. Apart from that, there is also one iconic subscription. In this iconic subscription, the game changer is this personal coach. So this subscription is for them who thinks that their basics are weak, or those who are talented but they needs a continuous push. So this personal coach will be guiding you throughout your strategy. He will be giving you the study planners. You will be getting the study booster sessions. Once you will get the test, you will be getting the analytics. Analytics plays a major role in improving yourself. We as a teacher also get our analytics so that we can improve on the daily basis. So once you start getting the analytics, you will be also improving massively on the daily basis. Apart from that, there will also be the guidance for the mains once you clear the prelims, and there will also.
Hello friends, welcome to this lecture of communication system. So in the last lecture we studied about the baseband digital communications and bandpass digital communications. So in this class we are going to understand what is this intersymbol interference or ISI. So to understand ISI, we already know that if we have a rectangular pulse like this, suppose the duration is TB and amplitude is A. So in frequency domain it can be represented by a sync pulse. So in frequency domain, it can be represented by a sync pulse. So this is the sync pulse. Suppose if this signal is P of T, so I can write it as P of F, and these zero crossovers will be 1 by TB, minus 1 by TB, 2 by TB, minus 2 by TB, and so on. So this will be the general representation of any rectangular pulse in frequency domain. Now you can say that if we are using NRZ line coding scheme, then in NRZ line coding scheme, one is represented by a rectangular pulse of duration TB and say amplitude A, and 0 is represented by a rectangular pulse of amplitude minus A in the duration TB. And if you are using the RZ coding scheme, then for 1 it is represented by a rectangular pulse of duration TB and amplitude A, and for 0 it is represented by a pulse of amplitude 0 and duration TB. So basically whenever we have to represent 1 or 0 in these schemes, we generally use the rectangular pulses, and we know that rectangular pulses in frequency domain are always going to have a sync variation, and you can also say that the bandwidth of this PT is going to be infinite. So this cannot be directly transmitted through any practical channel. We must first of all band limit it, then only we can transmit it through any practical channel or through any wired channel. So now let us try to have discussion about the baseband digital communication. So we know that in case of baseband digital communication, at the output of line coder voltage pulses are generated, and pulse by pulse transmission through wired channel takes place. So let us understand the flow of digital pulses, the flow of time domain pulses in the channel. So we know that the transmission which takes place is pulse by pulse transmission. So each pulse will have their own time slot, and they will travel in their respective time slots. So this is the channel. Now you can see that in this particular channel, the output of this channel will be given to a filter, which will be generally a matched filter. So it is given to the matched filter. Then this output is passed through a sampler, and suppose this sampler is sampling the pulses at t equal to k of tb minus, which means it is sampling at 0, tb minus, 2 tb minus, and so on. Then output is given to the decision device, and decision device then decides in the favor of 1 or 0 depending upon the value of y and lambda. So it decides in the favor of either 1 or 0. So now suppose this is your time t equal to 0, this is t equal to tb, this time is t equal to 2 tb, this time is t equal to 3 tb, this time is t equal to 4 tb, and this time is t equal to 5 tb. And this is your pulses in their respective time slots. So pulse by pulse transmission will take place like this. This is another pulse. And these pulses will travel in their respective time slots. So this sampling time instance which is written here, it should be k tb plus. So at this 0 tb plus, 2 tb plus, and so on, we will take the samples. So now let us try to understand it carefully. That you can observe that each pulse or each time domain pulse occupies a time slot of duration tb in the channel, and in their respective time slots they are traveling towards the receiver. So this matched filter will first of all receive this particular pulse. After tb duration it will receive this pulse. After another tb duration it will receive this pulse, then this pulse, and this pulse. So this particular matched filter or the receiver is receiving pulses one by one after tb duration. So after every tb duration this matched filter is able to detect a new time domain pulse. Now what you can see from here, that once initially in the first tb duration this particular pulse will come at the input of the matched filter, and the output of the matched filter is sampled at t equal to 0. So this will be 0 plus. So if it is sampled at t equal to 0 plus, so you can very clearly see that at t equal to, if this is t equal to 0, so t is increasing in this direction. So in this direction t is increasing. So t equal to 0 plus sample will somewhere lie here, and you can see that whenever you are taking the sample at t equal to 0 plus, only this particular time domain signal or this particular time domain pulse is having sample, and no other pulses which are in the pipeline are contributing in the sample value. So whenever in the first time slot this pulse reaches at the output of the matched filter at t equal to 0 plus, you are able to sample this particular signal, and you are able to detect it accordingly depending upon the value of lambda and y, which is combination of sample value and noise. Now let us try to observe what will happen with the next pulse. So after tb duration this next pulse will come, and it will come to the matched filter, and the output of the matched filter has to sample this value at t equal to tb plus. Now you can see that if this is t equal to tb, then somewhere we will have this t equal to tb plus point. So you can very clearly see from here that if you are sampling this particular time domain pulse at t equal to tb pulse, only this particular pulse is being sampled. Neither any component of this time domain sample is interfering, nor any component of this time domain signal is interfering. Similarly, after another tb duration, now this pulse is our point of concern. So this will be at the input of the matched filter, and as soon as it reaches at the output of the matched filter, we will have the sampling at t equal to 2 tb plus. So again you can see that at t equal to 2 tb plus, this particular sample or this point will be reached because this is 2 tb and t is increasing in this direction. So this sample value will be taking place. Similarly, at 3 tb plus this sample value, at 4 tb plus this sample value, and you can see that whenever a particular time domain pulse is being sampled, neither of the other pulses are interfering in it, or you can say that in this case none of the time domain pulses are interfering in the channel. So here you can take two observations, that no time domain pulses are interfering in the channel. channel. Also, you can see that at the sampling instances, no time domain pulses are interfering. No time domain pulses are interfering. Or you can say that no symbols in the channel are interfering with each other, or you can say that it is resulting in zero inter-symbol interference. So we took very important observation that whenever we are using RZ or NRZ coding, the pulse by pulse transmission takes place in the channel, and when we draw the flow of the time domain pulses in the channel, we saw that every pulse is traveling in their respective time slot, and no two pulses are interfering with each other, which means they are not crossing the time slots of other particular time domain pulse. So each pulse having their time slot, and they are not crossing their time slots. So at the sampling instances also, there was only sample of one time domain pulse at a time, and other time domain pulses were not interfering in it. So you can say that you are able to obtain zero inter-symbol interference both in the channel as well as at sampling instance. So neither they are interfering in the channel, nor they are interfering at the sampling instance. So this is the most ideal case. Now what is the drawback of this case? So we know that this is the time domain pulse, baseband pulses, so obviously they will be transmitted through wired channel. So this is the wired channel through which they are being transmitted. Now the drawback is that if you consider the rectangular pulse in time domain of duration TB, then suppose this is P of t, then surely in the frequency domain it will have a variation of sync. So it is the variation of sync. This is minus 1 by TB, this is 1 by TB, this is 2 by TB, this is minus 2 by TB. So this is the variation in the frequency domain. Now you can see that if you want to transmit this particular pulse through wired channel, so how much bandwidth will it require? Obviously it will require infinite bandwidth. So this is not a band limited channel, and it cannot be practically transmitted through a practical channel. So we are going to band limit it. So whenever you will band limit it, after band limiting, this signal looks like this: minus 1 by TB, 1 by TB, this is your F, this is P of F. So after band limiting it looks like this. And very basic property of Fourier transform, you know that whenever a signal is compressed in any domain, it expands in other domain. So practically what will happen when you are compressing this signal in the frequency domain, then obviously in the time domain this particular signal is going to expand, and now this will look something like this. So it is expanding. Now its duration, which is this, is greater than TB. So whenever we want to transmit a rectangular pulse through a finite bandwidth channel or a wired channel, then we are obviously going to band limit that signal. And when you are band limiting that particular signal in frequency domain, then time domain those pulses gets spread up, or those pulses gets expanded. So now let us try to see again the flow of time domain pulses through channel, and this is the practical flow, because last case was ideal flow. In that we considered that anyhow we transmitted the rectangular pulses, and anyhow we created the wired channel of infinite bandwidth. So in this case we assumed that this is the ideal case, and in this case we transmitted this rectangular pulse through the wired channel. But practically this signal can never be transmitted through wired channel because it has infinite bandwidth. So we have to first of all convert it into the finite bandwidth with the process of band limiting. And whenever you will band limit this particular signal in the frequency domain so that it can be transmitted through a wired channel, in time domain it gets spread up. So the practical flow will look something like this. Now this is the wired channel in which the pulse by pulse transmission will take place, and the first block will again be the matched filter or any filter, matched filter. Then it will be sampled again at t equal to kTb plus. Then it is given to the decision device, and based upon the value of y and lambda it decides in the favor of 1 or 0. So now whenever we want to practically transmit our rectangular pulse through a wired channel, so first of all we have to band limit it, and as soon as you will band limit it, this will look something like this. So this is the case now. Now they will not remain in their respective time slot, rather they will interfere or they will breach the time slot of consecutive pulses. So this is the t equal to 0, this is t equal to tb, this is t equal to 2 tb, this is t equal to 3 tb, and this is t equal to 4 tb. Now initially this particular pulse which was transmitted at between the time slot 0 to tb has been spread out. Similarly another pulse will also get spread out, this also gets spread out, and this also gets spread out. So now this is the situation till now. Now you know that as far as channel is concerned, there is intersymbol interference in the channel, because these two pulses are interfering at this point, these two pulses are now interfering at this point, these two pulses are interfering at this point, or you can say that since the respective time domain pulses are not going in their respective time slots, rather they are breaching the time slots of other time domain pulses, then surely they are going to interfere in the time domain. So in the time domain there is interference of time domain pulses in the channel. So ISI is not 0 in this case, at least in the channel. Now let us try to understand what happens at t equal to tb or odd sampling instances. So suppose first sample which is taken at t equal to 0 plus, then at t equal to tb plus, then at t equal to 2 tb plus, and so on. So initially in the first time slot this pulse will reach, and we will take the sample at t equal to 0 plus. So the first pulse will always be identified correctly, or its sample will not result in any ISI. But if you will take here again we are assuming that t is increasing in this direction. So if you will take the sample at t equal to tb plus, so very clearly you should notice that at t equal to tb plus somewhere this will be the point, and at t equal to tb plus you are not only taking the sample of this pulse but you are again taking the sample of this particular pulse. So we can say that now in this case what happens, even the interference is taking place at the sampling instance also, which is more severe, because at once we can also allow that they might interfere in the channel, but at the sampling instance we must able to sample only one pulse at a time. Then again if you will sample it at t equal to 2 tb plus, so it might be this is the situation of t equal to 2b plus, and t equal to 2b plus will also have two samples or the samples of two time domain pulses. Similarly at t equal to 3 tb plus you can have interference of samples, or you can say that these pulses are interfering in the channel also, or they are also interfering at the sampling instance, and this particular interference is more severe, or this intersymbol interference at the sampling instance is more severe, because at least we want that whenever we are taking the sample, only one particular time domain signal must be in picture, so that the detection of that particular time domain pulse as 1 or 0 can be created or can be completed successfully. So the bottom line is that whenever the rectangular pulses were being transmitted, then we considered that they were not interfering in the channel, neither they were interfering at the sampling instance. But we saw that this is not the practical method, because rectangular pulses can never be transmitted through a wired channel. Now then we band limited our rectangular pulses. Due to that, they spreaded in the time domain, so they starts breaching the time slots of the other time domain pulses. So every time domain pulses starts breaching the time slot of the their consecutive time domain pulses. So they starts interfering with their respective consecutive time domain pulses, due to which they started interfering in the channel also. And whenever we took the samples at t equal to 0 plus TB plus 2 TB plus, then also they were interfering. So this particular phenomenon is known as intersymbol interference. So what is the intersymbol interference? So first of all, you should notice that intersymbol interference is interference of time domain pulses. It is not the interference of frequency domain pulses. So whenever time domain pulses interfere in the channel, or whenever they extend their time slots so that they could interfere with the corresponding respective time domain pulses, then it comes in the picture. Now the intersymbol interference in the channel is not that much of severe, even if intersymbol interference are taking in the channel, and at the sampling instance we are able to detect, or we are able to take the sample of only one particular time domain pulse, then also our purpose will be solved. So the intersymbol interference in the channel is not that much of severe, but the intersymbol interference at the sampling instance, or when you are taking the samples, and if at that particular instance the sample of two time domain pulses are taking place, then the detection will be impossible, or detection will be very tough, because the decision device would make an error, because it is not getting any exact value of a particular sample. So let us write all the points that we discussed. So whatever till now we have discussed, let us accumulate all of them. So when binary sequence is line coded by using RZ and NRZ coding, in that case no ISI takes place in the channel. Also, no ISI takes place at sampling instance. Second, we know that rectangular pulses represents a baseband signal having infinite bandwidth, so it cannot be transmitted through a practical wired channel. Now to transmit the baseband signal, through a wired channel, it is band limited in frequency domain which leads to spreading of pulses in time domain. So due to this two effects can occur. First, the adjacent time domain pulses will start overlapping with each other in time domain. This is known as inter-symbol interference in time domain in channel. So this is known as ISI in the channel. Also, what may happen that the samples of adjacent time domain pulses overlaps at sampling instances at the sampler. This is called as inter-symbol interference at sampling instance. So first of all, you should understand that ISI is nothing but a time domain phenomenon, and you can observe ISI at two places, one in the channel, another one at the sampling instance. So obviously we can say that due to ISI, the detection of pulse becomes difficult at sampling instance, because the detection will start after the sampling instance. So if at the sampling instance the sample of only one pulse is present, then detection process will be easier, and if the sample of two different pulses will be present, so it will not be able to give the exact idea about the sampled value. So due to the ISI, the detection of the pulse become difficult at sampling instance. So if it takes samples of two different pulses, then it will not be able to detect it properly, or there will be some difficulty in the detection process. We also know that ISI is a time domain phenomenon. So it is not a frequency domain phenomenon, it is a time domain phenomenon. When time domain pulses gets overlapped with each other, or they breaches the time slot of their respective time, then they starts overlapping, and then only this ISI occurs in the channel. And if the two sample values of the time domain pulses overlaps or matches or interacts at the sampling instance, then we can call that inter-symbol interference is taking place at the sampling instances. Now, why this ISI is taking place? We know that ISI comes in the picture. ISI comes in the picture because we are using RZ and NRZ coding. So because RZ and NRZ coding is used, that is why ISI is coming place in the picture, because in RZ and NRZ coding we are using rectangular pulses and they are having infinite bandwidth. So when we are going to band limit the signal, they spread in the time domain and they starts overlapping with the adjacent time domain pulses, and ISI comes in the picture. Now because of the interaction in the channel, they also leads to the interaction at the sampling instance, and this also leads to the inter-symbol interference at the sampling instance. So now how we can remove it? The ISI can be removed. The ISI can be removed by changing coding scheme or by pulse shaping. By pulse shaping. So you know that suppose in case of NRZ, you are representing your bit 1 as a rectangular pulse of duration TB and amplitude A, and 0 is represented as a pulse of amplitude minus A and duration TB. Now in the new coding scheme, I am representing my 1 as P of t and 0 as Q of t. So what is this P of t? Now basically whenever you have to remove the inter-symbol interference, you perform the pulse shaping. So now this bit 1 is now represented by a sinc function. P of t. This is 0. Let me call this as A, 1 by TB minus 1 by TB t. We have already discussed that our purpose should be that the adjacent pulses should not overlap, at least at the sampling instance. So they at least should not interfere at the sampling instance. So let me give these values as minus TB, TB. This will be 2 TB. This will be minus 2 TB. So we know that this P of t can be written as sinc of t by TB, because in case of sinc the 0 crossovers is at 1, 2, 3. So in case of sinc t by TB, the 0 crossovers will be at TB, 2 TB and so on. So you can also write this P of t as sinc of t RB. 1 by TB can be written as RB, and it also can be written as sine pi RB into t upon pi RB into t. So from here you can draw the frequency spectrum, and that frequency spectrum becomes P omega versus omega. Since you have assumed this value as A, so let me call this amplitude as A. So this P of t is making as a sine 80 by pi t format. So this is sine 80 by pi t format. So whenever you will convert it into sine 80 by pi t format, this P of t can be written as A sine pi RB into t upon A by RB pi t. So this format becomes sine 80 by pi t. So you will have a rectangular pulse from minus pi RB to plus pi RB, and this amplitude will become ATB. Now if you have to represent this particular function in P of f, so you can represent it as f RB by 2 minus RB by 2, and this will remain ATB. So you can say that when you use the pulse shaping, initially you were representing your 1 by a rectangular pulse. Now you are representing your 1 as the sinc function. So whenever you have to transmit this one, you have to represent this one by a sinc function. So first purpose which this function solved, that this particular P of t has finite bandwidth. So since it is having finite bandwidth, and that too a bandwidth of RB by 2, so it can always be transmitted through any practical wired channel. So the first purpose, the first problem that we were facing, that in case of rectangular pulses it was having infinite bandwidth, so the transmission was difficult. So what we did, first of all, we represented this one by a sinc function, so it resulted in a finite bandwidth. Now let us try to see is it able to remove the intersymbol interference or not. So let me draw the time slots. This is the first pulse. Somewhere in the here we will have the second pulse, which will be delayed by TB. Then another pulse which is delayed by 2 TB. So initially I am drawing my P of t as exact sinc pulse. This is the sinc pulse. So this is 0, this is A, this instance is TB, this is minus TB, this point is 2 TB, and this point is 3 TB. Now what will happen if you will shift it by a TB unit rightwards? So this point will come to 0, this TB will get to 0 TB, and this will come to TB. So this will look something like this. So this is the TB instance, it becomes 2 TB, 0, 3 TB, 4 TB, minus TB, peak value remains A. Similarly, if you will shift it at t equal to 3 TB, so it will exist from this will become 0, TB, 2 TB, 3 TB, minus TB. So now let us try to observe. First of all, let me answer this question. When we are representing our binary stream with these pulses, so these are representing the flow of pulses in the time domain. So the pulses will flow like this. First of all, this P of t will come. After TB duration, another pulse will come. After TB duration, another pulse will come. So in this case, you can say that all these pulses has infinite duration in time domain, infinite duration in time domain. So what you can say that since all these pulses are having infinite duration in time domain, so in the channel they will always overlap. So in the channel we cannot reduce the intersymbol interference, because when they will travel in the channel, so they are all are occupying the time slot from minus infinite to plus infinite, then they are surely going to overlap in the channel. So in this particular a pulse shaping method, or after we have pulse shaped this 1 and 0, so very clearly we can see from here that each time domain pulse, which is in this case sync pulse, has infinite duration, so they will always overlap with each other in channel. So in this particular method, the intersymbol interference in the channel cannot be removed. So this first statement must be very clear, that the intersymbol interference was of two types. First type of interference was in that the time domain pulses were overlapping in the channel, and second interference was at the sampling instance, that whether the samples of the time domain pulses are overlapping at the sampling instance or not. And that particular instance was more important because we know that at that sampling instance only the sample of one particular time domain pulse must be present, then there should not be any difficulty in the detection of that particular pulse even though they are overlapping in the channel. Now in case of rectangular pulse shaping, we know that when we considered exact rectangular pulse shaping, in that case there was not any intersymbol interference neither in the channel nor at the sampling instance, but that was not the practical method. So to transmit it practically, we band limited the rectangular pulse, so it spreads in the time domain. That is why it starts overlapping in the channel. So in that case it was also overlapping in the channel, and it was also overlapping at the sampling instance. So we were able to obtain non-zero ISI both in the channel as well as at the sampling instance. Now what we did the pulse shaping and we represented 1 by sync function. So the purpose of this particular remedy becomes that first of all we were able to obtain the finite bandwidth in the channel, so this sync pulse can be transmitted successfully through a wired channel. Now once each and every bit is represented by sync pulse, so what happened that each pulse was having infinite duration, so we were never able to obtain the zero ISI in the channel. Now let us try to obtain the observe the ISI at the sampling instance. So suppose first sample was taken at t equal to 0. So if you observe t equal to 0 point in all these three waveforms, then you can say that exactly this particular p of t has a value of a at t equal to t, and this particular signal has value 0, this particular signal has value 0. So if you will see that t equal to 0 is sampling instance, then the sample of only p of t is taken by the sampler and none of the other signals are involved in the sampling process. Now let us try to do the sampling at t equal to tb. So whenever you will do the sampling at t equal to tb, this particular function has 0 sample value, this particular function has maximum sample value, and this function is also has 0 sample value. So at the sampling instance also you can say that you are able to obtain the sample of p of t minus tb. Similarly, if you observe the next sampling instance, which is t equal to 2 tb, this is 0, this is also 0, but this p of t minus 2 tb has maximum value. So at t equal to 2 tb also we were able to obtain the sample of only one time domain pulse. So this pulse shaping allows us, the first benefit is that we are able to obtain the finite bandwidth, and the second benefit is that we are able to reduce, or we are able to obtain 0 ISI at a sampling instance. So though it was not able to reduce the ISI in the channel, but it reduced the ISI at the sampling instance, and which is more beneficial because we need that at least at the sampling instance there should not be any ISI present. So this is very important discussion, and you should always remember it, that ideal case, in ideal case, when bit 1 and 0 was represented by rectangular pulses, in that case ISI in channel and ISI at sampling instance and the bandwidth of the transmitted pulse. And here the pulse. So suppose we transmitted this particular pulse of TB duration, which is ideal pulse with respect to 1. So the bandwidth will be infinite. ISI in the channel will not be present, and ISI at the sampling instance will also be 0. But this method is not practical, or this is impractical method. So what we will do, we will make its bandwidth finite. Now if bandwidth is made finite, so it will spread in the time domain. So in this case, the ISI in the channel also becomes non-zero, and at the sampling instance also becomes non-zero. Now, so this is the drawback, because at the sampling instance the ISI is present, so it will make the detection difficult. So it will make the detection process a little bit difficult. Now, if we represent our 1 with a sinusoidal pulse, so first of all it will result in a finite bandwidth, though it will not reduce the ISI in the channel. So in the channel we will still having non-zero ISI, but what it is doing, it is more importantly reducing the ISI at the sampling instance, and which is making it 0. So once the ISI at the sampling instance becomes 0, so the detection process remains as it is as it was in the earlier cases. So detection process becomes simpler. So this is the idea behind the ISI. So whenever we have to perform the zero intersymbol interference, or we need the zero intersymbol interference, so the first point which we should say that we are never able to obtain the zero ISI in the channel. At max we can obtain the zero ISI at the sampling instance, that too when we use the sync pulse shaping. So these two statements are very much important, that zero ISI can never be achieved in the channel. And second point is that zero ISI can be achieved at the sampling instance when sync pulse shaping is used. So let us try to see some properties of the pulse which results in zero ISI at sampling instance. So let us understand the properties which a pulse should possess so that it can result in zero ISI. So we can say that this was the pulse of duration TB, and its spectrum can be drawn like this: minus 1 by TB, 1 by TB F. So this particular pulse spread is when it is constrained in the frequency domain or band limited. So this particular pulse results in non-zero ISI because it has spreaded in the time domain. So this particular duration is going to be greater than TB. and the bandwidth for the pulse when a non-zero ISI was occurring is coming out to be RB. So it results in non-zero ISI, and bandwidth you can call it as RB. Now after pulse shaping, we represented 1 by sinusoidal pulse. So this is the sinusoidal pulse. This value is A, 0, TB, 2 TB, minus TB, minus 2 TB, and so on. And you can write this P of t as A sinc T by TB. We have also drawn its spectrum, and the spectrum comes out to be PF versus F, and this becomes minus RB by 2 ATB. And also after the pulse shaping, the bandwidth is finite, also it reduces. So initially it was RB, so bandwidth here is coming out to be RB by 2. So this is the bandwidth. Now let us try to understand one property of it. Suppose I want to calculate this particular expression, which is P of F minus NRB. So it will represent probability of F plus RB plus probability of F plus probability of F minus RB, and so on. So we have to add all those signals. So let us try to draw all those signals. So we have already drawn the PF. So this is PF versus F minus RB by 2 up to RB by 2. This value becomes ATB. What will be the graph of P of F minus RB? So it will be P of F minus RB. So we have to shift this graph RB unit rightward. So the graph looks something like this: RB by 2 to 3 RB by 2. This value becomes ATB. Now again you can shift this graph 2 RB unit rightwards. So it will become 3 RB by 2 to 5 RB by 2, and this value will become ATB. So now if you will add all these values, so you can see from here that at this particular instance it is coming 1 unit downward and it is coming 1 unit upward. So at RB by 2 this particular addition will result in the same value ATB. Similarly at 3 RB by 2 this is downward and this is upward. So this is saying that you have to go 1 unit downward, this is saying that you have to go 1 unit upward, and the net effect will be 0. So once you will add all these values, you can very clearly see that you will get a constant value F minus RB. When you will add all these values, so you will get a constant value and with amplitude of ATB. So if you need a time domain pulse, pulse PT, which can result in 0 ISI at sampling instance, then the frequency domain of that particular pulse must satisfy this particular criteria, that if that pulse is shifted RB, 2 RB, 3 RB units left or rightwards, it must result in a constant value. So it must result it in a constant value. So the addition must be constant, or graphically it should result a constant graph in frequency. A constant graph in frequency domain. A constant graph in frequency domain. Or in time domain, you can say that if this is P of f minus nRB is equal to ATB, then the shifted version of this particular expression, if I am denoting it as some Q of f, then the Q of t should be ATB del of t, or it must be a unit impulse function. So the time domain pulse must have a frequency response which should satisfy this expression, and if I consider this function as Q of f, then its inverse Fourier transform should be ATB into del t, or it must be an impulse function. So now we know that this P of t equal to A sinc t by tb helps in the reduction of ISI at the sampling instance. So it has a band limited spectrum minus RB by 2, RB by 2, F, PF, ATB. But the problem with this spectrum is that it is exactly as the characteristic of ideal low pass filter, and practically such spectrum cannot be realized, or we can so say that exactly sinc function in time domain cannot be realized. So what we will do, we will make a particular practical spectrum, and that particular spectrum must satisfy the basic property of frequency domain spectrum. So let us consider this is the ideal case, minus RB by 2, RB by 2. Now this is the ideal spectrum that we needed, but since it is representing the characteristic of ideal low pass filter, so we cannot realize it practically. Also, sinc function is not practically realizable, or the sinc pulse shaping is not practically realizable. So what we do, we extend or we form any other frequency spectrum which is a little bit practically realizable. So suppose I am making this type of some P of f, and what should be the property of this P of f? The P of f should be such that there can be infinite number of P of f's. I am just denoting in as one of them. This P of f should have property that it should always be constant. So now you can say that in this case the time domain signal, whatever may be the signal comes, is called as raised cosine pulse shaping. So as it is called as a sinc pulse shaping. Now if you will make a frequency domain a little bit practical, or in the way as I have shown, so the P of t is called as raised cosine pulse shaping. Now whenever you are using the sinc function, the bandwidth was ideal, and this bandwidth was equal to RB by 2. So this was the ideal bandwidth, RB by 2. Now what will be the bandwidth in this case? So you can see very clearly that up till from 0 to here the bandwidth is RB, and this much of bandwidth is an excess bandwidth, so I am denoting it as F alpha. So here bandwidth becomes RB by 2 plus excess bandwidth. This is ideal bandwidth. So the bandwidth becomes RB by 2 plus F alpha, and this F alpha is known as excess bandwidth. So this is known as excess bandwidth. Now this excess bandwidth depends upon the Roloff factor. So this excess bandwidth depends upon role of factor, which is alpha. So this excess bandwidth can be written as alpha into ideal bandwidth. So you can write f of alpha equal to alpha into RB by 2. So sometimes alpha can also be written as f alpha upon RB by 2, which is excess bandwidth upon ideal bandwidth. So sometimes percentage of alpha, which is f alpha upon RB by 2 into 100%, are called as percentage excess bandwidth, and the value of alpha should always exist between 0 to 1. So now the bandwidth becomes RB by 2 plus f alpha, or it becomes RB by 2 plus alpha times RB by 2, and if we will take RB by 2 as common, so this bandwidth becomes 1 plus alpha. So this is all the calculation about this practical spectrum. So let us discuss some formulas of the ISI, how we will apply the formulas of ISI in the problems. So we know that to reduce ISI equal to 0 at the sampling instance, we will use pulse shaping. So suppose if this pulse is transmitted, which is a sinusoidal pulse, sync pulse, then the spectrum will be like this. From minus RB by 2 to RB by 2, this will be F, this is ATB, this is PF, and this is minus TB, this is TB. So we know that this pulse is representing a baseband pulse. This is a baseband pulse. So obviously when it is transmitted through a wired channel, so this wired channel will also have some bandwidth, and whenever any baseband pulse is transmitted through any wired channel or any channel for that matter, then that particular channel is also called as baseband channel. So this is the baseband channel and this is baseband pulse. So we know that for faithful transmission and reception, the bandwidth of the channel must be greater than or equal to the bandwidth of the signal. So the baseband channel bandwidth should be greater than baseband pulse. So the channel bandwidth, so that we can obtain the 0 ISI, should be the baseband channel bandwidth for 0 ISI should be greater than RB by 2, or you can call it as the minimum bandwidth of the channel in order to reduce the 0 ISI. So this is the minimum bandwidth of baseband channel to reduce ISI to 0. So this is the minimum bandwidth required. So you can even put equality here. This is the case of baseband signal. Now similarly, this baseband signal P of t, if it is multiplied with a high frequency carrier, so the spectrum will look something like this. So it will be shifted to a high frequency. So this will be Fc plus RB by 2, Fc minus RB by 2. Similarly, minus Fc, this will be minus Fc minus RB by 2, minus Fc plus RB by 2, and the peak value will become ATB by 2. So if I will call this as S of t, so this becomes SF. Now if it is transmitted through any channel, so we know that now this particular pulse has become a band pass pulse. So whenever a band pass pulse is transmitted through any channel, it is called as band pass channel. Here also we know that the bandwidth of band pass channel, should be greater than or equal to bandwidth of band pass pulse. So we know that in order to obtain 0 ISI at the sampling instance, this particular bandwidth of band pass channel should be greater than or equal to RB, because this bandwidth is RB, or the minimum bandwidth required in order to reduce the ISI to 0 at the sampling instance becomes RB. So based upon these two discussions, we can also make one comment that the bandwidth of band pass channel will be equal to 2 times bandwidth of baseband channel. So you can either write here as signal or channel. For both the cases, this expression is true. So if you know the bandwidth of baseband channel, you can calculate the bandwidth of bandpass channel, and vice versa, because basically channel bandwidth is nothing but it is the bandwidth required for a particular signal so that the faithful transmission reception can take place. So that is why the bandwidth of channel should always be greater than or equal to the bandwidth of transmitted signal. So based upon this discussion, we must write few formulas. So to reduce ISI to 0 at sampling instance, following formulas are used for baseband signaling. In case of baseband signaling, the transmitted signal will also have baseband nature, and since the channel is allowing only baseband signals, so that is why channel can also be called as baseband channel. So we know that the bandwidth of the channel in order to obtain 0 ISI in this case will depend upon two cases. If it is the case of 2-array baseband signaling, then the bandwidth of the channel should be greater than or equal to RB by 2 into 1 plus alpha. And if it is M-array baseband signaling, then this bandwidth should be greater than or equal to RS by 2 into 1 plus alpha. RS is nothing but baud rate, so it can be written as RB by N, or you can write it as RB by log 2 M. So if alpha is given in the problem, or the word raised cosine spectrum is used, then we will use this formula. Otherwise simply put alpha equal to 0. So if it is the case of baseband signaling, you can use these two particular formulas. These two formulas are very important. Now similarly, to reduce ISI at sampling instance, for band pass signaling. So the bandwidth of the channel, the bandwidth of the band pass channel, or the channel In order to obtain 0 ISI, we will use these two formulas. If it is the case of two array signaling, then the formula will become greater than or equal to RB into 1 plus alpha. So it will become the twice of that particular case of baseband. In case of baseband, it was RB by 2 1 plus alpha. So if you will multiply it with 2, it will become RB into 1 plus alpha. And in case of M array signaling, the bandwidth of the channel must be greater than or equal to RS into 1 plus alpha. And here RS will again be RB by log 2M. So here also, if alpha is given in the problem or any data of alpha is given or raised cosine spectrum or raised cosine pulse shaping is used, then this formula is used. Otherwise, we will put simply alpha equal to 0. So alpha equal to 0 basically will refer the ideal bandwidth or the ideal case. So this much of basic we must understand before proceeding to the problems of ISI. Thank you.
So hopefully we have understood every concept in this class. If you have any doubt in any concept, you can let me know in the comment section. I'll try to resolve that thing. Apart from that, you can also follow me on various social media platforms. For example, you can join this Telegram group where you will be getting important notification, important updates. This is Telegram group where you can also comment, you can ask your queries, or maybe you can also suggest me for the improvement. Apart from that, this is my Unacademy profile. On this Unacademy profile, you should also follow me so that you can get the important updates of the Unacademy also, right? And this is the Notion page. You just have to type this tiny.cc/VishalGate. So you will be redirected to a page where all the special classes are arranged very systematically. तो मैंने बहुत सारे टॉपिक्स पे स्पेशल क्लास ले रखी है. फॉर एग्जांपल नाइक्विस्ट, फूरियर सीरीज, latches and flip flop, double integrations, okay, lot of things are there. So you will be getting all these concepts absolutely free of cost. You just have to type this in your URL. You will be redirected to that page and attend these lectures one by one. You will be getting a next level confidence in these topics that I can guarantee you. Now this is the Notion page of your YouTube, on which you will be getting the links of the YouTube. Apart from that, you will be also getting the PDFs of that particular lecture. So this is very important for you, and just you have to type http://bit.ly/gatelive. So gatelive, you just have to type it in the capital so that you can access all the lectures link and PDF arranged systematically. So if you want to attend or you want to clear the examination with the free resource, then this is the channel for you. This is the best recorded videos which has been ever made. You just have to go to that lecture, just click the link and download the PDF and start studying systematically. So we have also done this for you so that any student, whether he is sitting any part of this country, should not face the difficulty in cracking the examination, whether he can afford or he cannot. Now if you can afford, then the subscription prices are not something which you cannot pay. It is very nominal amount which you can pay, and you can just avoid all the distractions, all the time wastage which we will be doing in downloading those PDFs, arranging them, arranging for the test series, and a lot of other things that you have to arrange, doubt solvings you have to arrange by yourself. If you want to avoid all those distractions in a very nominal amount, so you can go for the Unacademy Plus subscription. For 12-month subscription, you have to pay only 74 rupees per day. Apart from that, for 18-month subscription, which is the best possible subscription, you have to pay 63 rupees per day. It is even lesser than the pizzas that you order on your home. So it is that much of amount that can shape your career, that can give you the best possible rank in the examinations under the guidance of the best teachers of the country, which has been right now placed on the Unacademy. Now 24-month subscription will cost you 54 rupees per day. So these subscription amounts will give you the subscription for the desired period. Apart from that, if you are using this code, you just have to remember this code, write my name, write GATE after it. You can also write ESC after it. So you have to write my name and write ESC after it. So any one of these code, once you apply, you will be immediately getting the 10% discount. You will be getting all the features of the Unacademy. You will be getting the guidance of all the teachers present on Unacademy, and everything you will be getting that is needed to crack the examination once you are using this code. So if you think we are working hard, we are giving our best content, we are giving the free content absolutely for you guys, and everything that is needed for every student to crack the examination. So never forget to use this code whenever you are taking the subscription. So this code is very important and you have to use every time you are taking the subscription. Now those who are interested for the prices, total price amount, so let me tell you, total price is 27,225 for 12 months, 34,650 for 18, and for 24 months it is 39,600. You can also pay this by using zero cost EMI. Zero cost EMI can be paid by credit card and debit card. In debit cards there are only Bajaj and HDFC as of now available. Okay, so this zero cost EMI means you do not have to pay anything extra, any interest is not you should not pay, and you have to pay this much of amount on the daily basis if you are looking for the zero cost EMI option. Apart from that, if you are coming for Iconic subscription, so Iconic mein I have already told you that your personal coach will be the game changer. He will be he will be basically following you to give you the guidance so that you can get the success in a very short span of time. So he will be following you, he will be pushing you every time. Now once you use this coupon code, this will be costing you around 45,225, and if you are using this coupon code, write my name, gate after it, you will be getting the 24-month subscription of Iconic in 66,600 rupees. Fine. Apart from that, every one of you should follow this GATE aspirant group, and there also some important notification always comes. Now what are the YouTube channels that you should immediately subscribe? This Creatrix, this is the channel on which you are present. This is Unacademy GATE questions, where previous year questions has been solved by the educators. So you'll be getting all the previous year questions video solution apart from the PDF also. This is the Electrical Junction channel, where you will be getting the important concepts of EC and electrical. And this is Engineering Pathshala, where you will be getting some practical aspect of the videos, some animated videos that will enhance your ability to think. So these are the channels which you should immediately subscribe so that you can get a better content. Fine. Now these are my some YouTube videos which I have created for you. In all of these videos will give you some motivation, guidance, content, and some strategy. So these are hand-picked videos. You can immediately follow these videos. Okay, so thank you so much. And those who are coming on this channel, immediately share all the content which is present on this channel. We are working very hard for you guys, so this is your responsibility that you should share this channel, you should subscribe this channel, also share the link of this channel, link of the videos, link of the educator whom you follow, so that every student who is needy, they can come onto this channel and they can get the best possible rank. So all the best everyone, let's crack it.